Cars and hip-hop go together like blunts, 40s, and company of female persuasion. But that's not to say tastes have always remained the same. From coast to coast, era to era, rap automobiles have shifted dramatically in shape, size, and nationality. Here's a look at how times have changed. Once upon a rhyme, the kind of car you drove meant something. At least in hip-hop it did. If you drove a Lincoln Continental, you were probably an old school rapper from the East Coast. A 64 Impala meant that you were tied to the lowrider scene. And a Lexus, well, you're probably from the East or the West, but you were definitely about 20 years old in 1995. Cars and hip-hop have been inherently entwined since the music crossed over into the public consciousness with the Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight in 1979. Today though, the kind of car you drive has more to say about your bank account than your cultural background, but more on that later. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at rappers' cars then versus now. Yeah, you heard it right. It's no secret that hip-hop and rap were born in New York City's inner city blocks and tenement buildings. So it shouldn't be a surprise that when guys like Grandmaster Flash, Africa Bambaataa, and the Sugar Hill Gang rapped about their aspirations, they spoke about what they knew. I got bodyguards, I got 2 big cars that definitely ain't the whack, I got a Lincoln Continental and a sunroof Cadillac. Ironically, to a large degree, both Caddy and Lincoln represented the white establishment that many of hip-hop's founding figures railed against. The cars certainly were luxurious and powerful, but both were traditional brands marketed specifically towards old money. They were symbols of traditional American aspiration, which makes sense when you consider that most early rappers were born in the late 1950s and early 1960s. These figures had grown up surrounded by large American cars, and this was their way of showing the world that those items weren't off limits to Black American youth. As hip-hop transitioned from New York City's boroughs to the national airwaves, becoming less 1970s counterculture and more 1980s street soundtrack, the people creating it changed as well. Increasingly, they were children of the mid to late 70s who grew up with a ratty VW or little Honda in the driveway, if anything at all. The connection to golden era auto grandeur was long gone. On the West Coast, many rappers had grown up around the ubiquitous Latino lowrider culture and rust-free boat-sized SoCal hoopties. Interestingly, this too was a very traditional, old-school culture that dates back to the hot rodding days of the post-war 50s and 60s, in which American steel was revered above all, just as it is down in the South. With their plentiful scope for ostentatious modification, larger-than-life appearance, and classic sense of prestige, it's not hard to see how lowriders became the cars of choice among the wide-open streets of the West Coast scene. However, it wasn't all 6.4s and southern playalistic Cadillac music. The real shift took place in the early 90s as the world shrank and the global ghetto got larger. Classic cars fell out of vogue in a big way as artists like Biggie, Jump in the GS3, I Got Chronic by the Tree, and Snoop, the Lexus Flexus from Long Beach to Texas, embraced an entirely more modern breed of automobile. The interesting thing about this shift is how it happened simultaneously on both coasts. And in the mid-90s, Lexus experienced a rap world popularity greater than any car brand had ever done before. During this period, the perception of what constitutes a luxury car shifted dramatically, with the overseas automakers becoming a new byword for success. For example, on NWA's 1996 Greatest Hits album, they added a skit that jokingly, yet no doubt with some element of sincerity, announced, "All you people listening, thank you for all your money, ha ha ha, we really appreciate it. It's gonna be a very useful cause. The help Dre get a brand new Testarossa Ferrari fun." Yet, it wasn't all foreign cars hogging the limelight. A few US models clung on, although by no means the kinds of car that had proved popular in the past. The 90s was the decades that SUVs went mainstream in a big way, and hip-hop culture played a big part in catapulting models like the Cadillac Escalade into the public consciousness in a way that directly affected sales. After all, it was the perfect car, or should that be a truck, for youth culture and hip-hop. It had bags of attitude and presence on the road, but the Escalade peaked in rap songs in 2003, right after groups like Big Timers pretty much funded their kids' college educations on Escalade-based music. So following that, what replaced it? In a word, foreign luxury brands. While Range Rovers and Hummers peaked around 2006, other brands like Maybach enjoyed a spell in the limelight, although they've since fallen off completely in the wake of the brand going out of business. Maybach's parent company Mercedes-Benz, on the other hand, is at the top of its hip-hop game right now, with premium models like the SL proving more and more popular as rap stars take on more business-like personas. That said, since 2013, it seems that the vast majority of automotive brands are being mentioned less and less than in years gone by. The reason? While awareness of foreign luxury increased exponentially in the 90s and 2000s thanks to the boom in global trade and advances in technology, these days, rappers are rapping less and less about their aspirational automotive loyalties and more about the brands who actually pay them, or at least about the brands they hope will pay them. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.